Hare Krishna, welcome all of you to the 78th session of Gita Amrita Bindu. Today we will discuss about the different levels and different ways that Lord Krishna talks about how to approach Him. He is very kind enough to give us several levels, one below the other. Very interesting. We can choose which level is suitable for us. Let's begin with prayer. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. भावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुः उन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. In the previous section, there was a question by Arjuna. There are two paths, path of the impersonalist, path of the personalist. Which path is superior, Krishna? In verse number 1. And verse number 2, Krishna clearly spelled out the path of bhakti is the topmost. And they very easily come back to me, my devotees. And Krishna also said, the other category of people, impersonalists, they also struggle hard. After many lifetimes, they also come back to me after adopting many practices, which he told in 2-3 verses after that. And then that section was concluded with a very important verse, Tesham aham samuddharta, mrityu samsara sagarat. I personally deliver my devotees. And I take them back to my abode. So now any of us may be interested how I can also practice devotional service to be personally delivered by Krishna and taken back to his abode. So therefore, here you find Krishna very mercifully gives us several layers and several ways to approach him. The 8th verse you can see here. He's saying, continuously fix your mind and intelligence on me. And he says, if you cannot do that, then follow the path of regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga and have a desire to attain me. Second level. Then he says, if you don't have time to practice regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, which Srila Rupa Goswami gives 64 items of Bhakti Yoga. If you can't follow those things, at least he says that work for me. Do some work for Krishna. Surrender your works to Krishna. If one cannot do that also, then he says, okay, if you can't give to me, give away the fruits so that you don't enjoy and hurt yourself. And if you are unable to give up the fruits due to your very strong material attachments, then it is better for you to cultivate knowledge and cultivate meditation, by which you develop the vairagya, necessary vairagya, by which you will learn how to detach yourself from work. Then you can detach the work for Krishna. Then you can practice Abhyasa yoga. Then you can practice Shuddha Bhakti. In this way, gradually you can come. He says, you see here, this is the topmost platform. He says, fix your mind on Krishna. So I have given one picture so you will not forget these four concepts. What is the picture? Madhavendra Puri in Vrindavan, chanting the holy name constantly in the Govinda Kunda. The time Gopal is coming, asking, sir, you have not eaten from morning to evening. You are sitting in this place in Vrindavan. If somebody doesn't beg, I personally come to deliver them something to eat. I brought a pot of milk for you. Please take it. Krishna is coming and delivering. These are Premi Bhaktas, like Madhavendra Puri. Lord himself is coming to serve him. So that is a very advanced stage where he is constantly living in Krishna. So he doesn't forget Krishna for a moment. It's a very most advanced stage of a pure devotee. Many pure devotees were like this, like Prahalad Maharaj. One moment if Krishna was separated, he will cry. And when Krishna comes, he will smile. Haridas Thakur chanting practically 20 hours a day, chanting 3 lakh names every day, non-stop. This is a very advanced stage. Second stage is this. Okay, we can't be like that pure devotee. We can actually follow the regulative principles of sadhana bhakti, which we are all doing, trying to do. Chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, and adopting the 64 regulative principles taught by Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion book. Beginning with Adav Guru Padashray, Saddharma Pricha, Krishna Diksha Shikshanam, Sadhu Vartman Vartanam, Vishnu Mena Guru Seva. These 5 are very important. Beginning with taking shelter of a Guru and taking Shiksha and Diksha from him, rendering service to him, and also following the other acharyas, the Guru Parampara, faithfully following Guru Parampara. These are the 5, and then there are 5 potent forms of devotion service mentioned towards the end. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavata Shravan Maturavasa Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevan. One should associate with saintly people, and one should chant the holy name, and one should reside in Vrindavan or make home into Vrindavan, and one should study Srimad Bhagavatam, and one should worship Vigraha, Shri Vigraha. So these 5 are called 5 potent forms of devotion service. So these are all the regulative principles. One should practice them in sadhana bhakti stage, and then awaken love for Krishna. Like you see this devotee chanting. If you cannot do that also, then work for Krishna. He says, okay, you're a Kshatriya, then do Kshatriya work for Krishna. If you're a Vaishya, do Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam, do farming, do cow protection, do trading, earn some money and give some donation to Krishna. Work for Krishna, like that. If you can't do that also, then he says, then you have to purify your mind because you are very attached. He says that, okay, then give away what you have, not for Krishna, for something else, some other cause. Don't be attached to the fruits of your action that will hurt you. Kripana afala hetavaha, earlier also Krishna said. If you cannot give the fruits due to attachment, then cultivate renunciation, knowledge, meditation, all those things. Okay. This is the indirect method. So these are, to go in this type of steps is actually indirect method. Better that one follows either the first or the second, 12.8 or 12.9 verse. That's the best. Mayyeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva ataburdvam na samshayaha. Since bhakti is the best, please perform only bhakti. Krishna is first telling. In the next 3 verses, he will try to teach about that bhakti. See, here he is saying, just fix your mind upon me. Mayyeva mana adatsva. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Engage all your intelligence in me. So each of these words is explained by Acharyas. You will see here. See here, Prabhupada is saying here, that's spiritualized relationship with Supreme Lord. That means the devotee has a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. From the very beginning, he says. And his chanting is also spiritualized chanting. So Radha and Krishna are dancing in the tongue of Haridas Thakur when he's chanting 3 lakh names daily with great love. They call the Lord with love. And when they cook something and offer to the Lord, Lord very happily eats it. Like Shabari gave, Lord Rama, he accepted very happily. Vidura's wife, Vidurani, she gave banana peel and throwing away bananas out of love. She had tears in her eyes and Krishna accepted the banana peel as if it's very tasty. Sudama Brahmana brought chipped rice, but he was not even ready to give it to Krishna out of shame. But Krishna snatched and took it because it was filled with love of Sudama and his wife. So Krishna snatched and took it and ate it. Just see. These are all examples of spiritualized eating. How Krishna directly accepts the eatables from the hand of a devotee. Non-devotees cannot understand this dealing of Krishna with his devotees. So this is the topmost platform of this verse which says pure mind of a devotee. And Mayi eva mana adatsva means, how the devotee, how does he remember Krishna? Remembers Krishna in his Krishna's beautiful form. Like you see in the picture here, Shyam Sundar form with yellow dazzling clothes, wearing a forest flower garland, playing on his flute, with peacock feather on his turban on the top. And the devotee doesn't think of impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Devotee thinks of this personal, beautiful form. And Baladev Devotion says, meditate upon only me alone, not upon anything else. Some jnanis meditate on Aham Brahmasmi. That is not a devotee. Devotee meditates on Krishna's form, he says. Yeah, and Mayi Buddhim Niveshaya means what? Look at the picture. Rup Sanatan are studying all the scriptures. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipunau Sadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau. It is said. They study all the scriptures and they extract the quintessence from all the scriptures and they present very easy to understand books like Upadeshamrita or Bhakti Samra Sindhu, this kind of literature. So we can easily understand what is to be done. They extract the bhakti from all the Puranas also, like Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana, and all these Puranas, and make it easily available for us, because in Kali Yuga we have no time to go through vast oceanic Vedic literature. So therefore, by studying the Shastra, Chakravarti Thakur says very nicely, and when we get touched by some Shastric statements and we reflect on it, and we keep thinking about it, oh, what I read, it was such a wonderful point. Just like a cow first swallows the cud, later on it ruminates. You've seen that? Sitting in one place. Like that we take in Bhagavatam classes. Later on throughout the day we keep meditating on it, contemplate. That's called Mananam. Shravanam and then Mananam one should do. And by that Mananam, Mayi Buddhim Niveshaya. Our intelligence is dwelling on the pure spiritual thought. Just like a cow, when you leave it in the field, it is grazing on the grass. Like that our intelligence should be grazing on the scriptures. Then we can serve Krishna. Mayi Buddhim Niveshaya. Ahameva Parama Prapya iti Adhyavasayam Kuru. You say, by studying scriptures you should come to this point. Parama Prapya. Krishna is the Parama Prapya, who is the rarest person to be attained. When you get convinced of that, that means intelligence is engaged in scriptures. But if somebody's intelligence says foreign chance is the goal of life, isn't it? Or money making is goal of life, that means he has not come to the conclusion of scriptures. But when one understands, Ahameva Parama Prapya iti Adhyavasayam Kuru. Krishna alone is the ultimate object to be attained. That means he is dwelling on the scriptures. Nivasishyasi Mayyeva, he is saying. In this way you will live in a residence right next to me. Which means, somebody may live near Govardhan or live in Vrindavan or make home into Vrindavan. But by absorbing in love of Krishna, one will always live with Krishna, one will never be separated, he is saying. And then Sridhar Swami says, After death, you will live with me alone. Of this, there is no doubt. Dehante maranantaram mayyeva nivashishasi. That means, when you leave the body in this world, 100% is guaranteed you will live with me always. Like here you see, Ajamil is going back to Vaikuntha, Dhruva is going back to Vaikuntha. Yeah. In this way, he says that immediately after, Raman says, even after immediately focusing on Krishna, then you live with Krishna. Or after leaving the body, you live with Krishna. Atachittam samadhatum nashaknoshi mayi sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Now, some pure devotees' minds are like Ganga Pravaha, which is flowing very fastly towards the ocean, like our Kunti Maharani is telling in one prayer. She's saying, Tvayi me ananya vishaya mate numadupate sakrat ratim mudbhata tadha gange vaugham mudanvati. Oh my Lord Krishna, let my mind flow like Ganges towards the ocean. If there are some tree logs on the way, Ganges will go up or go down. If there are big mountains, she'll go from the side. She will find out some way, somehow, to go to the ocean. So Kunti Maharani is saying, in the same manner, may my mind flow towards your lotus feet. And always let me engage in your devotional service. She's praying. So that is possible for pure devotees. But sometimes we, practicing devotees, our mind is not fixed on Krishna. There are blockages. There are obstacles on the way. Then what one should do? How can we attain such a power of mind to always think of Krishna? So if I am unable to worship Krishna like that, as said in the previous verse, now Krishna says, don't worry, I will give you a more simpler method. He's saying, what is it? He's saying here, Atachittam samadhatum na shaknoshi. If your heart is not getting fixed in me, in Krishna, he's saying, na shaknoshi, you are unable to. Mayi sthiram, it's not stably staying in Krishna. Like when you're chanting Hare Krishna, many of us have experience of mind wandering here and there and not able to hold it. Then what you should do is Abhyasa yogena tato. Perform Abhyasa yoga. And one more thing he says, Mamichhaptum, desire to attain me. He's saying, like here you say, oh my dear Arjuna, winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me, he's saying. Yeah. And then here, Chakra Thakur says the same thing. He says that follow the method of repetition of fixing your mind on me. That is Abhyasa Yoga. Make an effort. Yeah. And concentrate your mind on me steadily, then seek to attain, endeavor to attain, like that he says. Yeah. So, proposing the two processes of Bhakti Yoga. One is called Vaidhi Bhakti, and one is called Raganuga Bhakti. In Vaidhi Bhakti means Vidhi. Rules and regulations you have to follow. And in Raganuga Bhakti, you spontaneously love Krishna. That's the difference between the two. For example, in the beginning, you have to follow some rules in learning cycling. How to learn cycling. Sometimes you put your leg like this and you drive, isn't it? Initially, when you are learning cycling. But eventually, you get very expert in driving cycle. Same with typing also. When you go for typing A, S, D, F, G, F, semicolon, L, K, J, H, J. Sometimes finger goes inside in between the keys. But once you've practiced, you can type very fast. Like a rain shower. You can type like that. I practice. Abhyasa yogena tato. So, in this world, even a child also, the innate ability to walk is there in a child. But by practice, the child will start walking. So, in the same manner, Krishna is saying, whatever activities pure devotee is doing, and pure devotee has prescribed it for the second stage, you also follow that. He's saying, for example, rise early in the morning, take a bath, enter the temple, offer prayers to Lord, chant Hare Krishna, go to the garden and collect flowers to offer to worship of the deity. And then cook in the kitchen like you see in the picture here. Some Mataji is cooking, somebody is making garland. Yeah, cook foodstuffs for the deities. And honor prasadam. Constantly hear the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam classes, morning, evening. So these are activities you can do when attachment has not yet developed. You practice these things. These are called regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. Not very difficult to do, you can do it. Now somebody may say, hey, these guys are going on Harinam Sankirtan in the street and they are dancing as if they have great bhava. Do they have really bhava? They are just raising hands and dancing like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a lover of God. These people are just imitators. If somebody says like that, you may feel morose. Oh, they are criticizing us. No. We should tell those fellows, love of Krishna is there in everyone's heart, like a red hot coal, but it's covered by ashes. Like that, you blow off the ash, the coal will be manifest. Similarly, love is already there. A child's ability to walk is innately there. You just have to, train the child. He will walk. Same manner with our love of Krishna also. Like sometimes the iron filings are rusted and you take a magnet near, it doesn't stick. But once that mud is removed, then the iron will stick very easily. So our attraction for Krishna is now relatively covered over and very less. But if we do this Abhyasa yoga, by practice, what will happen? That love will awaken. That's the point. See, here in sense gratification is impure. Whereas when we do the Abhyasa yoga, Krishna consciousness, our senses become purified. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam, Bhakti Ruchate. If I use my eyes to regularly see the deity form, my eyes get purified. If I use my ears to hear Krishna Katha daily, my ears get purified. If I use my mouth to glorify Krishna, my mouth gets purified. If I use my nose to smell the flower offered to the Lord, then nose gets purified. Isn't it? If I use my legs to go to the temple, leg gets purified. In this way, I can use the hand to clean the temple, hand gets purified. In this way, ultimately, all the senses get purified and the mind and heart also get purified. Whereas sense gratification purifies all the senses. What about service? People work for a company. When the company stops the salary, then they stop working also. Whereas Krishna service is never done with any anticipation. No expectation. We do it as a seva. Voluntary work for Krishna. And in job, working in a company, anybody has love for the boss? Are they going to job because they have love for the boss? No. Whereas in the path of Bhakti Yoga, people do love the spiritual master and the mentors who are training them. And they also love Krishna ultimately. So it is in the stage of practice, we do it sincerely. And when we get purified, we develop awaken full love. So, how do we replace material impressions by spiritual impressions? Vishwanath Thakur has a point here. For that, we have to do Abhyasa, he says. If one is unable to remember Lord with no preparation, or if one cannot offer full consciousness to Krishna very easily, he says, if we are unable to offer, then one has to do Abhyasa Yoga, he says. Actually, with prolonged practice, we will have spiritual impressions in our mind by doing spiritual activities. Ata sahasa yeva mayi stiram samadhatum na shaknoshi. Tataha Abhyasa yogena vam aptum icha. He's saying that sahasa eva means naturally, voluntarily, very easily, if you are not interested in chanting. Still we should chant. Ekadashi day, for example, after 16 rounds, we have to chant more. Mind may be offering resistance. Still one should do that for one's good. Yeah. By repeatedly we should withdraw the mind. Yato nishchalati manaschanchalamas tatastato niyam yetyat atmani yeva vasham nayet, he says. As and when the mind wanders during chanting, pull back the mind again and focus it on the holy name, he's saying. This is the meaning of Abhyasa Yoga. Again and again, Abhyasa we should do. Practice. Practice this repeatedly, he says. And Sripad Ramacharya is giving a clue. Not only we should try to pull back the mind, meditate on the Lord's sublime qualities like His beauty, friendliness, affection, compassion, sweetness, majesty, heroism, omniscience and freedom from wants. How the Lord is so cheerful. Think of this, meditate on the Lord's qualities. And by doing these things, gradually mind will become calm and gets fixed in the Lord. Like here you see the picture. Devotee is chanting and meditating on Radha and Krishna. His mind will become completely calm, cool, collected. Yeah. And mind may go to vulgar objects when we are trying to meditate on the Lord, like eating some very big plate of food. Instead of calling the Lord's name, instead turn the mind towards the beautiful form of the Lord, he is saying. So Krishna is calling Arjuna as Dhananjaya. Why? Because you conquered the enemies and brought the wealth. Similarly, now you conquer your mind and get the treasure of Krishna Prem, or the meditation of the Lord. So he's telling him to conquer them and take it as in a sportive spirit. Conquer your own mind, he's saying. Abhyasepya samartosi matkarma paramo bhava madartamapi karmani kuruvan siddhim vapsyasi. Now Chakravarti Thakur is raising a question here. You see, he's saying, like our tongue sometimes get contaminated by jaundice. It doesn't like the sugarcane juice. So is sugarcane juice bitter? No, it is sweet. But the tongue tastes it as bitter because of the disease. Similarly, we all are afflicted by ignorance of the knowledge of the soul and God and loving relationship, identifying ourselves with the material body that we see in the mirror. We run here and there trying to become happy with the body, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, just imitating the same activities of animals. So in the human form of life, we can purify the heart and go back to God. So how do we get rid of that ignorance? So further Krishna is saying, okay, even if you cannot do Abhyasa yoga and you have distaste for it, actually it's like sugarcane juice. Doctor says you keep on drinking more and more, and the more you drink, gradually a disease goes away. A stage will come and jaundice will be gone and the sugarcane juice will become sweet. But some people are still not ready for taking the medicine. Mind is like a fickle like a wind. Some people say that no, my mind cannot be controlled. For them, Abhyasa, he's saying Abhyasa yoga is difficult for you. Abhyase api asamartosi, asamartha, impossible. Then he says, mat karma parama bhava, at least do some service to me, work for me, he says. See the picture here. This boy is ready to arrange all the prasadam boxes in the table. Even before the people arrive there, he's arranging everything. So some people are very happy to do this type of service. Tell them to take the bead bag and sit and chant, they won't chant. That they are not enthusiastic. Some people are ready for book distribution. And some people are ready to hear lecture, but they will not chant. So therefore he is saying that, okay, if you cannot do Abhyasa yoga, at least do some work for Krishna. He is saying. Like here you see a big donor is coming to temple and is giving some few lakhs of rupees donation for Krishna service. This is more easy for him to do, working for Krishna, performing some transcendental service rather than having to chant Hare Krishna and follow all the 64 regulative principles. He comes to temple, but once in a while he may come. He may not practice it daily. So this is the working for Krishna. Sri Prabhupada says everybody wants a land. Hare Krishna devotees also, when they're preaching in any city, we want land, we want some money to print books and distribute. We also want some labor. In any other business, we need all these things. Here you see, one man is giving charity to a Vaishnava. So similarly, if somebody says, I can't do the Abhyasa yoga, at least be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is saying, devotees in marathon are distributing. So some rich man can purchase a sumo or some bolero, some vehicle and give. Okay, people like gift this vehicle to the temple. You people take the books and go and distribute in villages. Very good work you are doing to the bhaktas, by which bhaktas can propagate Krishna consciousness. Like that he is saying, be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. Like one man has an office, and office in the ground floor. On the first floor, he has made a very beautiful seminar hall. Yeah, computer company, small firm. Big hall, seminar hall attached with projector and screen and air conditioned room. So one day he came to temple and said, sir, this room, I use only one meeting in a week. And that too, it is in the daytime, 12 to 1. Other times, this hall is just empty. Why don't you devotees come and use this place and preach? So he gave us the place. So then we go in the evenings for preaching, sometimes in the morning. So that hall is available. You have 50 chairs, very nice AC room. So he's a big-hearted man. He's not very possessive, thinking that it's my conference room, why should I give it to devotees, they will spoil it or something. No, he's very happy to share. In this way, Prabhupada says that one can come forward and be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. This is more easy to do than chanting 16 rounds, following 4 eggs and all those things. See, Vajna Chakravarti says, mat karma paramaha, engage in my supreme activities. Yeah, he's saying, karmani kuruvan. Chakravarti is saying here, okay, just like in Abhyasa yoga, you also hear about Krishna, sing about Krishna, bow down to Krishna, worship Krishna, sweep the temple and everything, picking flowers, even without remembrance of Krishna. Because in the second stage, you should try to remember Krishna and do the activities. Here, even if you don't have remembrance, at least externally do the activities, he's saying. This is called as external activities of bhakti. Then gradually you will attain perfection, he's saying. Yeah, Sripad Ramacharya is saying, you can do many things. Construct temple and give. You can actually take care of the garden of Krishna, or you can light up the lamps in the evening time in the temple, sprinkle water and clean the floor, or you can help in plastering the floor of holy shrines, mandapams and all, or you can help devotees have some chatai in the temple hall when it is chill floor, isn't it? Or you can gather the flowers and help make a garland, and engage in Krishna's worship. Chant Krishna's names, circumambulating the temple, like you see Matajis are going around the temple, circumambulate, praising the Lord, offering namaskar to the Lord with great affection. Try to do these things with affection. So Ramacharya has given so many ideas. This is all working for Krishna. Sridhar Swami says, or you can fast on Ekadashi day, he says, observing the other vows and singing Lord's name. If somebody says, I can't fast, okay, you be a falahari, take fruits. Or somebody says, fruits are not enough for me, okay, be a dugdahari, drink milk also, no problem. Somebody says, that's also not enough, I want Ekadashi Prasad, okay, you can take once a day Ekadashi Prasad. Oh, one time is not enough, okay, take 3 times a day, but you chant Hare Krishna. So in this way, one can follow some vows like this. Adai tadapya shaktosi kartum madyogamashritah sarva karma phalatyagam tadakkuru yatatmavan. Krishna is saying here, if you cannot, however, work for Krishna, at least give away the fruits of your work. Like here you see somebody is giving donation to the poor children, or somebody is giving a wheelchair to somebody, or these people are giving some charity. By giving charity to the suffering souls, what happens? Our heart becomes very light like a swab of cotton, and we develop some detachment. And when the mind becomes purer, then you start becoming well behaved with everybody. And when you meet the Krishna devotees, they will gradually uplift you to come to the stage of working for Krishna, and then Abhyasa yoga for Krishna, then Shuddha Bhakta of Krishna, like that, different stages. Yeah, he is saying, Mayyeva Manadatsva is the Smaranatmika Bhakti, then Mananatmika Bhakti. Both are actually 12.8. Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti is the 12.9, which we are all trying to do. And then Madartama Kurmani means hear and chant and do services, even though your mind may not be remembering Krishna. Keep doing it. Yeah. Actually, these activities are very easy to do, but his mind is absorbed in worry of many other things. So no problem, at least do those activities. Or at least give away the hard-earned wealth, not for one's own sense gratification, but give away to suffering souls or anybody. Yeah. Another thing Sridhar Swami says, if you think that everything is done by the Lord, I am sowing the seed, Lord is giving the rains, I do my best and Lord give, I leave the rest to Krishna. That is also good consciousness, he is saying. Yeah. So in this way, all these things are explained. I have given you the summary. You can go through it. These flow charts. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyagat shantiranantaram. He is saying here, see this chart here. In 12.10 he said, if you cannot engage all external senses for working for Krishna, I said in 12.10, not in 12.8 or 9. 12.8 is Shuddha Bhakti and 12.9 is Vaidhi Bhakti. Now below that is 12.10. At least engage externally your senses in Krishna, working for Krishna. If you cannot do that, then he says, then cultivate knowledge. Why? Because if firewood has become wet, if you put it in the chula fire, it will only give out smoke. You won't get any fire. And you will be troubled by that. Therefore, he is saying that you are earning money and you are enjoying yourself. You don't want to give a single penny for a beggar or anybody. So this is going to make you very terribly suffer because of attachment to wealth. Then you have to develop detachment from wealth. What to do? Cultivate knowledge. Go to Bhagavad Gita, cultivate knowledge. And then better than that knowledge is meditation. If knowledge ripens when you meditate on Super Soul in the heart. Better than meditation is coming to the point of giving up the fruits for Krishna. That means working for Krishna. That is even more better. Because even people who are very attached to money, land and everything, eventually they understand that we have 1,000-acre land, we have no son, father and mother, we both will die and everything will go to government. The 1,000-acre at least give some 200 acres to, devotees, ISKCON devotees, they will do something. So in this way, somebody may develop a good heart if they have some detachment. They can see that death is impending, anytime it can come, like that. And then by benefit of such renunciation, once my peace of mind is attained, and then they can engage gradually in bhakti in higher stages. Yeah. So all these things are given. See, 8th verse means mind fixed in Krishna. 9th verse is follow the related principle of sadhana bhakti. 10th verse is work for Krishna. 11th one is give up the results of your work. Correct, no? And then if you cannot engage yourself in working for Krishna, then you cultivate knowledge, Understand your real position and develop meditation and develop detachment and all that. And by that, again, you will kind of start working for Krishna. That's the whole point. So, this I already told you. Vaidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti. This foot-wind lady is in Raganuga Bhakti. Great lover of Krishna. She's giving all the fruits without any expectation in return. That's the highest platform. On the other hand, we can be Vaidhi Bhakta also, no problem. We have not yet attained such an intense love for Krishna. Like Mrigari practiced chanting Hare Krishna and gradually became purified. So we can also become purified like that. Yeah. So the topmost is Bhava and Prema for Krishna, like the fruit vendor lady. If you don't have that, then Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti should be done. Even if Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti we cannot do, then one may work for Krishna. Yeah. So you can go through this. I have given you Baladev Debhushan and Srila Prabhupada's, the steps, stages explained in this series of verses 8 to 12. Srila Prabhupada ki. So the next session is a very important session because in verses 13 to 20, Krishna is going to tell about the qualities in devotees which attracts even Krishna himself. Actually, Krishna is all attractive, but the all attractive becomes attracted to devotees when the Lord sees certain qualities in him. You want to know what are those qualities? The whole next session is on that. You are most welcome. Prabhupada ki.